Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to Abnormal Voyages. My name is David, and today we find ourselves in Trenton, Tennessee. Now, throughout history, there has been multiple iconic food and beverages you could choose from, but one of the most iconic has always been tea. In its signature teapot, it stood for many things throughout history, and today we're going to dive a little deeper in that. We're here at the Teapot Museum, which has one of the largest collections of teapots in the entire world, with over 500 very rare teapots. Personally, I've never seen a big collection like that, so I'm excited to get in and check it out. Come tag along.
We're going to a place that you've never heard of before. It's Abnormal Voyages. You're gonna learn something new. We're gonna open new doors. It's Abnormal Voyages.
Now inside the museum, we are surrounded by teapots. There are a lot of very special ones here, but we're going to start with one that definitely caught my eye. This is a teapot that was owned by Napoleon.
Here is the teapot in question. You can see it even has the little inn on it for Napoleon. This whole set did belong to him. They kind of went along together. They got a little candle there next to it. I know historically they think he was kind of a little guy, so I think it's funny that this teapot was so small. Obviously, that was not probably the one he really used. I think the bigger one was the one for tea, but very nice, very ornate. Now, this entire collection here was actually donated to them from a Dr. Frederick C. Freed. He was a professor and actually is a native of Trenton. He spent 40 years amassing this huge collection and then donated it right here to Trenton. Originally, he was thinking about giving it to the Metropolitan Museum of Art over in New York City, but after talking to his brother, they decided, you know what, let's give it back to Trenton. So it went and became a hometown art piece that the entire city loves. And as a matter of fact, every single year they have a week-long Teapot Festival around May. And speaking of teapots, I'm sure you've noticed that these do not quite look like the regular traditional ones, at least not in the strictest sense. So let's delve into a little bit about what makes this collection so unique and rare.
Now, something you may have noticed is that a few of these teapots definitely look a little different than your standard teapot. That is because they are a special type of teapot called a vase terre. Now, in English, that translates roughly to nightlight teapot. These are really cool. These stretch back to the 18th century, and this museum actually has the world's largest collection of these special teapots. Now, the way that they worked, they originally were made for people who were, in like hospital kind of situations, feeling sick, couldn't really get up and make their own tea. So there was a little pedestal made that they would put oil underneath, and they would warm up that oil, and they noticed that that helped keep the tea nice and warm. Now, when they did this, people began to see that the flames of the candle underneath the oil did really pretty light and everything for what the pedestal was. So from there, they began to put a little more artistry into it. So the night light coming out of it made it look even more gorgeous and still kept your tea nice and warm. So this is more of a traditional one here where it is just the teapot on top, and then we have the base here where you see some holes cut out so that light can come in. But then they got very intricate, for example, things like over here where they had actual scenery painted on them that would light up, and no matter how dark the room was, you would get a very nice image. So it's really cool that this huge collection happens to be here in the middle of Tennessee.
So that explains why these might look just a little bit different, but they are still absolutely teapots. And honestly, adding the base and the little area for the candle, for the oil, it gives them an opportunity to be that much more artistic and really go to town on any designs they wanted to make, or if they really get into it, creating things like castles, little forts, sometimes even people. All of it is built into the figure of this entire tea set. To categorize his entire collection, Dr. Freed actually made a kind of homemade book for himself that had pictures of every single one of these. So he took the pictures, had them in there, and looking at these, you'll see that every single one pretty much has a little card in front of it, and on that card is a number. Well, if you happen to take his book and flip through it, you can match up those numbers with the book to find the exact teapot that you're wanting to learn about, and you'll be able to find it in the book and read whatever information may be there about that, be it where it was from, who made it, how long ago it was made. That way you can really just kind of bone up on your knowledge of all these different teapots. Now, personally, I have not had the opportunity to really have a lot of tea traditionally brewed in teapots and things like that, but coming into here makes me want tea more than anything. A lot of these just blew me away with how awesome they look. It's crazy the versatility the artists were able to put into these different teapots, particularly the ones that look like people. Like, you have no idea that this is a teapot. They just look like a nice porcelain figurine of different characters, historical figures, things like that. You never imagine, oh, I could take his hat off and pour a nice, delicious beverage out of him. It just does not look like that's what it is. So I very much like things like that, that kind of use artistry to hide the actual meaning of something. And then that way, it's kind of a twofer, you know? You get this gorgeous display piece, but then it actually has versatility in being used to brew your tea. That's not to say that the other ones aren't also just as stunning, though. Even if it didn't quite look like a person or a fairy or a creature, even the ones that you can tell they are teapots have so much going into them. The people who crafted these, I don't even want to imagine how much work went into them, how much time and effort into every single one of these. And that's why, honestly, you have to call them art pieces. These are not just buy from the grocery store cups or pots, whatever. This is definitely an artistic investment when you're buying these. And honestly, I think it's great. So they do have a little bit of, saucers and teacups, as this is traditionally how people were drinking tea, eating their scones or whatnot. But that was a very little bit. That's just kind of to show you, like, hey, we have some other tea stuff. But the main attraction is, of course, all of these lovely, stunning teapots with their towers. The only thing I wish they did different is maybe have one on display that was actually lit with the oil inside or the candle. Though I do imagine if you were using these too often, there is always the chance of it kind of degrading a bit, kind of breaking down the beauty of it. Or if it was outside of a case, there's always a chance that somebody might break one of these, and that would definitely be heartbreaking, because this collection deserves wholeheartedly to stay together and be displayed this way. So though we didn't dig through the book and find a lot of the exact dates on these, the vast majority of this collection all come from about the 19th century. They do come from parts of Asia and Europe, and I think it's easy to see with the different artistic influences that definitely makes sense for those corners of the world, that's where these came from. Being art, of course, a lot of value on these. They did not have an exact number, because I'm sure, just like paintings, it does fluctuate a bit, but they let us know that this entire collection together is easily worth several $1 million. So there is a lot of money on display here. But I mean, honestly, with the historical and artistic value of each one of these, especially grouped together like this, I know they say millions, but I would have to put these down as priceless. If anything happened to any of these, they're literally irreplaceable. You're not going to find any of these things out there easy to pick up. So I am very grateful that this collection was not only donated to be on display, but that here they can have a home together and be nice and safe for people to continue to enjoy for, hopefully, centuries to come. So Trenton is very proud of their collection here. It really is kind of the crown jewel of the city. And they do have that festival that lasts an entire week celebrating these teapots and teapots in general. They've got music, food, games, festivities, giveaways, and of course, during the festival, you can stop on by and take part in a tea party. And honestly, I can't think of anything more appropriate to celebrate this wonderful art.
Well, that was definitely very cool, and I think now it's time for a drink. So that's all the time we have for today, adventurers. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like button, comment below where you think we should go next, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the future voyages. All of it really helps us out, and we definitely appreciate it. And if you're interested in supporting us a little bit more, you can also check out our Patreon link. It's going to be down below, and get something awesome in the mail every single month, including a postcard from somewhere out on the road. My name is David, and this has been Abnormal Voyages. Thanks for tagging along. See you next time.
Thanks for watching Abnormal Voyages. Thanks for watching.